Hello, everyone. Welcome to Culture Binge. It's the Wisecrack podcast where we explore the nooks and crannies of the cultural zeitgeist. I'm Michael, joined as always by Chet Hayes' one-time producer and hype man, and maybe illegitimate son of Tom Hanks, Alec. Alec, how are you today?
I'm great.
Nice. And the woman who once got an entire HR department fired because she said the office had, quote, inadequate vibes, Serby.
Hi, everyone.
Is that a true story? That's what your Wikipedia says, that you upended a company because the vibes were bad and completely changed the workplace culture.
It wasn't HR, it was legal department.
Okay, see, everyone on Wikipedia, get your facts straight. We're happy to be with you on a Friday. I don't know if we've done this on a Friday before. Let's say we haven't. Let's say it's the first time we've done this, and we're excited to be here. We got a lot to talk about today. Alec is going to warn us about an impending summer of doom, chaos, destruction, and danger. Serby's going to talk us through going back to the office and what we should expect, how it's going to be weird, maybe we shouldn't go. And I'm going to talk about tiredness, something that I'm good at. But first, we got to do slaps and chaps. So how about Alec? Alec, let's start with you. What are your slaps and chaps this week?
What slaps is, for the first time ever, we've been getting fan art, and it's weird to receive fan art for the first time, but it's awesome that people are taking the time to make movie posters about us, which I tweeted. Someone made portraits of us. I don't know, it just makes me warm and fuzzy inside and deeply uncomfortable. Both of those feelings at once. And then Chaps, I'm still boycotting it. As you know, the world, we live in the best of all possible worlds, and nothing could ever possibly be wrong with it.
Wow. I am annoyed that you are still boycotting it, but I respect your resolve. I can do both of those at once. I contain multitudes. Serby, who's not boycotting because she's fine with just going with things and being a team player. Slaps and chaps.
Definitely not. So my manager, this is just an off story, but my manager told me the other day that if I were a dog, I would be a service dog, like very focused on what I'm doing and don't touch, like just let me do my work. And I was like, nobody knows me as well as you do.
Advice to managers though, don't tell your
actually kind of okay.
Don't tell your employees what dogs are. If my manager, who's on this call, ever was like, let me tell you what kind of dog you are, I would be
No, it was in a discussion about like what kind of animals we would be.
Oh, okay.
I
just thought you walked in and they were like, so let's start with this. What kind of dog you are.
You're a teacup Yorkie. I don't know.
Wow.
I was very excited about being a service animal. Like Alec, our listener slap, I've always enjoyed reading our emails, all of your emails about your experiences and your thoughts on topics. Recently, we received the fan art that Alec was saying, and we also got an email from Alex, who's looking into getting my friend a Raya invitation, and I've been so excited ever since. And so Culture Binge listeners are so kind and talented and wonderful. Also, I'm secretly hoping that somebody can put me, like, when they do fan art, they can, like, put me in, like, famous paintings. Like, I could be, like, in a Renoir or, like, in a Monet painting or Degas. Wow. Like, make me a ballerina. So if anybody's capable of doing that, please do it and send it to me and I'll print it.
What's so that biblical painting of, like, a biblical figure, like, decapitating another biblical figure? Do you know what I'm talking about? Anyway, just put Old Testament some combination people. Of us doing that. Yeah. It's a painting. It's a famous painting. I'm gonna fucking
don't you? If you yell at us, that's not like we're all of a sudden going to remember the painting. That's not how art memory works. Okay, so is that your slap then, Serby?
That's my slap. My chap is my Converse sneakers, my beloved Converse sneakers that I've had since I was 18, are finally falling apart. I need to buy new ones. I'm so sad. We've been through so much together. We've been all over the world together. Those sneakers have been with me, like, through the best relationships, the worst relationships. I've had no one other than these sneakers with me the whole time. Like,
how have they lasted that long? Those sneakers are not made of durable material.
No. I'm just, like, very careful. Like, I would, like, there was a time where I wouldn't go into public restrooms with them. Like, I was like, oh, God, no, I can't do it. Like,
I love that energy. I have to
protect them. They probably should have gone away like a while ago, but now there are chunks of rubber and like material coming off now as I walk.
Two crucial follow-up questions. One,
Yes.
what were okay, three questions actually. High top or low top?
Low top,
Color?
black, white
Black.
stripe.
Okay. Now, for the next pair, are you going to stick with that, or are you going to mix it up for your next Converse iteration?
Oh, so very interesting question. I've been debating about it. Like I want to go back to my black. That's where I'm used to. Once you go black, you never go back. However, I'm thinking about maybe switching it up with like a light blue just because it seems interesting. Also liking the look of the white ones. However, I don't think I could handle them looking dirty, and I will keep my Converse forever. So I think I need to go with like a darker color. I have a pair of light gray Supergas, so I can't go with light gray. I have to do something. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think?
I mean, I'm always a fan of dance with who you came with logic. If the black Converse high tops did you so well for so long, you know, why shop around?
Right.
But also, white can be a really fresh summer look, and you have to just embrace that they're going to get... But if you embrace that, then it's fine. Like, there's a lot of very cool-looking people that have old white Chucks. They've just embraced reality. And really, it's a metaphor.
Never walk into a bathroom with them, ever.
That's real, though. Walking into a public bathroom in shoes you're excited about is really... I don't want to say traumatic, because trauma is like a real thing, and that's not. But it sucks.
Disturbing.
Yeah, I haven't worn any of my good shoes for over a year, and I'm afraid to start wearing them again. But that's for my own mental health professional to work me through. I'll do my slaps and chaps because I forgot last time, and we've gotten thousands of emails saying I can't sleep because I don't know what Michael slaps and chaps are. I'll be simple. Obviously I second everything you all said about our fans making really cool art. I think that rips. It makes me real happy. Slap. I'll say since we were last together, I got that Vax. And I'll say it's a slap because I've been someone who's repeatedly told friends, family, strangers that there's no way that like youngish, healthy-ish people were getting it till like July or August. So I was pretty shocked when I was able to like legally and without having, you know, some crazy condition or whatever, not crazy in a bad way, conditions are real, get it in April. So that's like cool. Although it doesn't feel as good as I thought it would. Not like physically, just metaphysically. I thought it would symbolize some sort of like reawakening and a calm and a shedding off of anxiety, and that didn't happen. My chap is simple and boring. Taxes, though, I hate taxes. This is the first year I'm paying someone to do the taxes. I hate our tax system, and I just don't get why, like in other countries, they can't just send us a thing in the mail that's like, we took this money from you. It's what you owed us. We're just going to keep it, and you can just keep chilling. And then you say, that sounds good. I hate it very much. Yeah, maybe that makes me sound childish or stupid, but I just hate it.
When did you get the vaccine? How are you feeling?
I got it not exactly. I got it 8 days ago. Feeling okay now. For any of the Wisecrack patrons who hear this, they got to see how I felt about 20 hours after, when I was forced to do a live stream, even though I didn't feel that good. And I would say I brought a chaotic energy.
It was a really good energy. It was a lot of weird jokes about cousins, maybe in the consciousness because of the royal family.
Sure.
It got very dark.
Very.
But it was good. I'm glad that we forced you. No, I'm not glad we forced you to do that.
Yeah.
You opted to.
I was into it. But yeah, I got the now illegal vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson, and
not illegal.
It's great. Also, too, I'll say this, for anyone listening who heard that and is skeptical, it's great if they release it again, get in line. It's the exclusive one. It's a limited edition. It's for bad boys, bad girls, and bad people. But I just felt really bad for a concentrated period afterwards, and within 36 hours felt normal but tired. So I don't know. But that's that. And if you're listening to this, if you're watching us right now and you have the opportunity to get that vax, right? Do we all agree on that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's do that. Now, one thing that getting that vax will help you do is participate in a chaotic and lawless summer with the underlying comfort that you do have those antibodies. So, Alec, we're all gearing up for it. We're getting ready. Talk us through a potentially world historically chaotic summer.
Yeah. So I've been noticing a lot of headlines using a lot of different terms for what's going to happen this summer. I've seen Summer of Chaos. I've seen Hot Vac Summer. I've seen from someone named Chet Hayes, White Boy Summer, which I refuse to learn anything about. I feel like it's like the White History Months of summers, and I don't like it.
Someone named Chet Hayes? Wow. Hollywood royalty, and we're just talking about him like he's some schmuck. I mean, he is, but...
But anyway, two specific articles. On SF-Gate, there was... I must have deleted... White Claw's new higher alcohol seltzer surge will wreak havoc this summer. Here's why we need it. Lots of talk about how everyone's just going to lose their shit drinking high alcohol percentage White Claw while they're vaccinated, et cetera, et cetera. Vice had an article of someone who is too young to drink Four Loko when it was the real shit, trying to recreate it with different recipes. So a lot of just let's go insane energy happening. And I'm not necessarily opposed to it. A lot of people making jokes on Twitter. Here's one: White Claw surge dropping as Americans are getting vaccinated. Is Thanos getting that last Infinity Stone? There is no way this ends well. Yeah, these are from the SF-Gate article. White Claw surge going to destroy me this summer. I'm so hyped. Yeah, and so... I mean, I don't have a ton to say about it, except that I want to let everyone know that I have an original caffeinated Four Loko in my fridge. I've been holding on to it since it was made illegal. I had my friend who was in New Jersey drive to a gas station to pick it up. I'm afraid it's going to poison me, but I am saving it for a special occasion.
You have to drink it.
Maybe I'll drink it on live stream if we get $1 million.
Yeah, I think you should.
If we get $1 million, is what you said?
Yeah, we have to get $1 million of patrons. But anyway, I feel like, I got my first dose. I don't have my second dose. I think, you're not fully vaccinated until 2 weeks after your second dose. You shouldn't act like you're fully vaccinated until that point. But even after my first dose, one part of my brain says that's true. And the other part of my brain is like, but you should hang out with people. And I'm not saying that I should be or that I am or anything like that. But I think, I don't know, for me, there's this conflicting energy of almost feeling traumatized. Again, not to use that term lightly or anything like that. But, I was invited to an outdoor 4th of July party where like 10 people all vaccinated would be there. And I'd be like, oh, I think according to the CDC, that's okay. But also I feel very strange, probably irrationally so, about doing it. Scared, I might say. And so, I wonder, I think there are truly people who are like, fuck it, I'm going to get my vaccine and go buck wild in some responsible and others irresponsible ways. And I think other people might say they are and actually just hide in a hole for 5 years. And I'm wondering like where you are all at that spectrum.
I'm nervous. I think I've gotten so used to being at home and not around people. So the idea of being around big groups, just thinking about it makes me a bit nervous and panicked. And I have some family coming into town in May, and they're flying in, and hopefully I'll be fully vaccinated by then. But the idea of being in indoors with people like that makes me really uncomfortable. I think it's going to take some time. I'm also supposed to go to a family wedding in July. I mean, supposed to go, I'm booked to go, but I'm going to a wedding in July that's supposed to be outdoors, and that makes me nervous. Just the whole thing makes me nervous. All of these things make me nervous.
Yeah. There's also even, when it's 10 people, it's okay. But when you're talking about like 100 people and, the tendency of this virus to mutate a lot, this is not based in, anything. Don't listen to me as any sort of public health expert, please. But I'm just like, something's going to fuck it up,
Yeah, that's why I'm afraid to hope in that way. But I think kind of like Serby, I haven't had the feeling, and I'm still, I guess, like a week away or a couple weeks away from being fully vaxxed, whatever that means. But it hasn't made me feel, I think the only thing I felt is like being in a grocery store with a mask on. I have less of an underlying anxiety knowing that there's some antibodies inside of me. But I haven't had this like reckless feeling like I can just do whatever now. And because I'm lucky to live in a place where they've just been throwing vaccines at people recently. I do know a lot of people who are getting vaccinated. But I guess for me, like the big step I think is going to be hanging out inside with two friends, and it's going to feel fucking crazy. And I think we're doing that soon. Once me and my partner are fully vaxxed up with two of our really good friends. Shouts to Zev and Emily. They would never listen to this, but
Zev and Emily.
Yeah, friends of the show, Zev and Emily. But yeah, so so in that sense, I'm nervous. But in another sense, as soon as they start announcing live music stuff, I think I'm going to break bad. Like, I think that if I have the opportunity to go to an outdoor concert of any type of music I even like a little bit, and I have like a little bit of substances inside of me, I think I'll just be so happy and maybe overwhelmed by the feeling of communal artistic experience. So that's where I'm thinking I will go from like very cautious to like, why does that guy have his shirt off already?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a point, like all my friends or in my close circle of friends, half are vaccinated, half are scheduled to get the vaccinated. So we're talking about hanging out in the summer, probably outside. But I just know I'm going to get super, super drunk, possibly on my Four Loko, and just be like, fuck it. Like, I'm hugging everyone. Everyone's getting a hug and like, whatever. Like, I feel like a part of my brain will just break, and that's not good. I'm not saying that's good, but I'm just worried about that.
Well, I want to offer something for all of our listeners too. People are going to be really sloppy with drinking when they do their first social event. Write us and I will write you a drinking plan. And if you stick to it, you'll have a fun time, but you won't feel shitty and do too much. Genuine offer. Survey does serious things like looks at people's resumes and like helps them better themselves in life when they run in. I will do things like help you not get shithoused at your boy Roddy's park barbecue.
So it's not in my personality to like go wild and crazy like that, but I have found myself thinking more about what I want to do in the summer, like go to a lot of the art museums that I've been missing. There are a few local cultural events that are, they just sent out emails saying we're opening back up in the summer. And so I find myself feeling really happy and excited about that. But then the idea of maybe going and being there is making me a bit nervous.
Yeah. We've got some great comments I just want to shout out from JCD Drummers. I hear J&J is a bit more heady and creative. I went with Moderna for that in the couch body immunity. We also got...
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. You know what? That's funny, and it's true.
We also got some donations from Israel Bravo. Says, first time tuning in live. Stay awesome, guys. Thank you. And as always, due to Bides, still surviving the chaos in Michigan right now. Michigan's really, really bad, isn't it?
Michigan's it's like hell now.
Yeah.
And that's not a diss to Dude Bides, who's my man. Or
Michigan. It's just hell.
Michigan, it's rough there now. But normally it's a great place. Shouts to the Upper Peninsula. Shouts to Founders Brewing. They got a lot of good stuff going on there. But yeah, it's rough. Stay safe, Michigan.
Yeah.
That's what I'm afraid, because that's where I really my travel goal. So I've not been on a plane, train, bus, or anything in a while. I'm a nutso person. I'm hoping to get to the point where I feel comfortable flying to Chicago by like July something.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get on a plane and go hiking, where I'm like, well, even if I get some sort of asymptomatic thing, I won't give it to anyone on a trail.
Yeah. I think I'm very curious. I guess this isn't really like a summer of chaos thing as much, but this is related. I'm just curious to see what happens with masks. I think that's going to be the most interesting thing this summer, because I think there's a lot of people who are going to like go to bars and restaurants or do whatever, but they'll still do a little masking or whatever. I think some people will be like, fuck this, I'm never wearing a mask again. Yeah. And my worry is that the people who decide to never wear masks again are going to be bullies, because I'm completely comfortable. People do what they want to do. I just don't want to get made fun of, because I think I'm going to be like a late stage masker.
Yeah.
I love my mask. I love wearing masks. I find it's so comforting. It's like having a safety blanket. And like, as an introvert and somebody who's just like uncomfortable around other humans in person, I love it so much. It feels like I no longer am forced to have small talk with random people, smile when I make eye contact.
Yeah.
I just can like do my shit and like go home, which is exactly what I want to do.
I like being able to accessorize, which is not a thing that a man such as myself can normally do. It's great. Everything you're saying.
I have this one mask that matches a pair of shorts, and I think that will just be like a sick summer look when I have my mask that matches my shorts. That's all. That's my summer of chaos, is color coordinating mask and attire.
I've been obsessed with like getting this one mask that Kate Middleton has. It's by this company that's only sold in London or in England, and it's like these really pretty flowers, and I've been trying to find one that's similar here, and I haven't found it.
Do you want to get that to show that you do not side with Meghan Markle and you are team Kate Middleton in all of their conflict?
obviously. But also, I just really like the pattern. I really like floral patterns. And I was like,
if you have a mask you love, put it in the chat. Send us email about your favorite mask. And also, too, I'm curious to hear if people have Summer of Chaos plans. So is that, so I feel like it seems like that's the case across the board. All of us are maybe just looking forward to that first big hangout to see how we feel.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Just a bunch of crazy, reckless nutbags. But mine might get crazier. Los Angeles is starting to announce different concerts at different places. So I'm checking most days different places to see what is going to happen. Now, if, going to parties and concerts and stuff like that is the fun part, maybe, about what's starting to happen. Another part of it is people are going to start going back to offices, I guess. That seems like a thing that's happening, and maybe in some cases they won't. And that's weird. So, Serby, tell us about it.
Well, first of all, shout out to Joy, our producer, who sent me the most beautiful masks. A link to them. I'm dying. I want every single one.
Oh, they're real good.
Oh, they're so nice. Maybe I'll just say the name of the Etsy store. This way other people can join. 3 Bears Co. on Etsy. These masks are gorgeous. Okay. So, yes, people are going back to work or thinking about going back to work. So in the US, at least, vaccinations are accelerating quite rapidly. And many companies are starting to talk about how they're going to mandate on-site work for employees and bring an end to remote working. And a few months ago, organizations were thinking about how vaccinations would take a long time. They were thinking that they would have to bring their employees back in September or October, but now it's looking like it'll be May. And Amazon and Google are huge organizations, and they've both said that they expect their teams to be back in office soon. And these conversations about bringing people back in office has caused many human resource departments to discuss whether they should require vaccinations or recent COVID-19 testing before coming back to work. And teams also have to decide whether they will require masks, how they'll handle social distancing and cleaning protocols. So that's what's going on with companies. And when it comes to workers, 1/3 of those who currently work from home have said that they would rather quit their jobs than work in office full time. I'm one of those people. And after working from home, many people have said that the thought of returning to work fills them with anxiety, dread, or panic. And the pandemic has shown people that they don't need to be in the office every day from 8 to 5 wearing business attire in order to deliver results. So people are feeling like they've escaped the daily grind and they're feeling like they actually live a life. And other people just like being at home and having a flexible schedule. They like interacting with people online, and they find in-person interactions draining, and they get more done when they're at home. And one interesting thing that I read is that workers don't trust their employers now. And from what they've seen, they believe that any safety measures that are implemented will fade away with time. And those workers who have filtered in and out of the office over the course of the pandemic have noticed that social distancing rules are unenforced. Workers can go maskless without consequences, and cleaning methods are poor. And it's this lack of trust that's filling people with panic, in addition to the other things like being nervous about being around other people. But there's an interesting article in Slate that discusses this lack of trust in institutions. And in the article, many people discuss how the pandemic altered their perspectives and beliefs that society, people, and businesses would help them in times of crises. And they thought that society would do the right thing. So at baseline, I distrust companies and most people, so I've never felt or believed anything like that, but I can imagine how that realization could be quite devastating and could shatter your trust and make you feel like you want to rely more on yourself. And if I had to return in the office, I just wouldn't do it, mostly because my working style is more suited to being at home. But I'm curious what you two think. Do you think that workers are right to be wary of their employers, or are employers going to go about things the right way? Should remote working even be a thing? I want to hear everything.
Well, can I just say before Alec gets a note, I would die for my employer.
Yeah,
I love them.
we're a
I trust
family.
them, and anything they say to do, I will do. So that's been said. That's on record. Alec, go ahead.
Yeah, I similarly, work as a family. And so really when I'm not able to go into an office, I feel like I'm being deprived of my family, and it's just awful. And I cry no. Yeah, I think, your employer isn't looking out for you nine times out of 10. I think there's some amazing stories I'm seeing and people freaking out. And like, it's funny that they're freaking out. Like, restaurants are having trouble hiring employees. And they're like, I don't get it. Why doesn't anyone want to work in a restaurant? And it's like, oh, because they've been fucking harassed by their fucking anti-masker customers, and you're a manager and you suck, and you're complaining about having to tiptoe about being too mean to people. And anyway, so that's amazing. There's that. The actual, I think it's what you're bringing up in Serbia is really interesting, because I feel like there's sort of two sides of a coin, and we've sort of talked about different facets of this. There's what you're saying, which is you don't need to be in the office every day. Some people are totally more suited for it. Some people are way more productive. Commuting can destroy your life and has destroyed many people's lives and mental health, et cetera, et cetera. However, on the other end, there's a part of it that like working home from full time also has like all these awful effects of blurring the lines between work and personal life. I'm seeing, in the sort of law sphere, I guess, lawyers are just like quitting in droves, usually citing burnout. They don't have other jobs lined up, or they're switching to other firms, to the point where I know a few lawyers, they were offered just like $13,000 or $15,000 just to stay until June because so many people quit. And then news came out that other firms were doing the same thing, but for more money. So they upped it to $20,000. And if you're a more senior partner, or not senior partner, or more senior lawyer, the firms will give you $60,000 just to like not quit by summer. And so all that's going on. And, before the pandemic, I've worked from home for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, something like that. I've worked from home for a long time. And on one hand, I like it. I really think it's the balance. Like, I wish I could see my family, like twice a week or something like that. I think there are definite downsides and the work-life balance, but also maybe some people feeling it are also feeling those problems because they're not able to, go out and see friends and family, go on vacations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much because this, and then in a good way, we'll transition into the next topic well. But I'm like the person who's the opposite of what the article Serbi reference described, in that I hate working from home. I feel like it's destroying my soul. This is a little TMI, but we're a family on Culture Binge, and by the family I'm talking about everyone who listens. I'm losing my goddamn mind because of being home all the time and working here. I really hate it. I like routine. I like switching up my locale, and even when, because I've never in my life had some job where I'm like straight up every day 9 to 5 in a cubicle. I've been very lucky to have jobs where I can like go someplace else to write or work for a bit and stuff like that, which has been great. But like, even if when I've like freelanced before, I rarely work at home. Like, I'll go to a coffee shop or the library or park or something like that. And then if I'm working from home, my day can have structure because I'll say, okay, at 5:30, I'm going to stop and go meet my buddies for happy hour or something like that, which gives this order to things. And I just find that like it's just crazy. I've never thought this about myself, but I'm just like, if I could go to like, and I do go to our office sometimes to film stuff, but if I just had like a place to go where there was people, I'd be so happy. Mm-hmm. But maybe that means I'm just like built for the corporate world.
No, I think it's just a different style of working and like different personalities. Like, I couldn't be in an office. Like, I would kill my soul the way that being at home is killing you. So I think it's different. Like, what's interesting to me though is that I've realized how rarely I go out. I mean, I do go to the beach a lot. I like take time off like during the day. Like, I have a flexible schedule so I can work whenever I want. But the pandemic didn't really affect my life too much, and I realized how how rarely I leave the house, which is bad. I'm like a mole person. Like, it's weird. No. And so in the beginning it was hard because I was too afraid to go for like hikes and go to the beach and stuff, so I would spy on my neighbors a lot. And a few of them caught me, and they've like planted these tall trees so I can't look in their backyards, which is really frustrating.
Wait. How much of an exaggeration is it that your neighbors planted trees so you wouldn't spy on them? Not at all.
It's not an exaggeration at all.
Amazing.
Joy's been to my house. It's the place across the street. They put these really tall trees in their backyard, and it's bullshit. And I feel like, don't have pool parties and don't hang out in your backyard and do cool shit if you don't want people to stare and look. And so the guy saw me, and I was just sitting there like staring, and then I slowly closed the shutter.
Oh my God.
It was too late by then.
I will say Serby is definitely a creeper here, but I'm on a tall story, and so I can look down into sort of these backyards that people have in my neighborhood. And I'm pretty sure they can't see me, but there are people with a really nice backyard with a trampoline and a cute dog, and I just watch them sometimes because there's a cute dog, and yeah, that's creepy, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, your neighbors, Serby, make me think of whenever I accidentally watch an HGTV show, people are always like so obsessed with privacy and all these massive yards, and the guy's always like, I don't know though, people could look at us. And I was like, what are you doing that you're that obsessed with privacy? Like, are you doing murder? Are you doing orgy? Are you doing ritual sacrifice? Like, I can't think of anything I would do in a backyard that I would really care if I saw someone looking at me. Like, watch me grill and drink a beer or read a book. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, that's a tangent. Also, too, because I never answered this before, and it was one of your initial conversation starter questions, Serby. I do think that the idea of trusting employers is stupid because they don't care about you or your life at all. All they want to do is extract labor from you so that they can increase their value, and that's all it is. So no one should trust their employers in any way. And if you care about safety, sadly, because of the world we live in, that's on you to ensure. So if you're going back to the office and you want distance, you better be ready to say like, hey, Craig, get the fuck away.
Right. Also, PSA for anyone listening, the HR department, human resources, does not exist to protect you.
Nope.
They exist to protect your employer. So don't think, I'm going to go tell my employer this is happening and expect that they're going to help you personally. They don't give a shit about you. They give a shit about their organization.
You go tell them that someone in cubicle C, I don't know if that's how cubicles work, harassed you. Their thought isn't how do I protect you? It's how do we make sure our company doesn't get a harassment suit so we don't have to pay someone out. So that's why I get a good lawyer. I don't know. Lawyer up. And all these lawyers now, they're trying to quit like we already learned. You can get them at a discount rate. But I do think, and maybe this will be a sort of transition to the next topic or maybe not, I think a lot of this does beg the question of like how much is human life tied into like sociality, being recognized by others, having this experience of shared life. And I do think the entire COVID experience is called that into question for a lot of people, for better or worse. I think there's people who have realized a sort of semi-solitary life does work for them. For some, it's a semi-charmed life that works for them. For others, they realize they need, interaction at a really fundamental level. I think it does. I think it's an important question as we move towards the gigification and the remotification of all types of labor. At what point do we start doing something that's kind of fundamentally inhuman in how we relate to one another through work?
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah, I guess. I guess we'll transition. Any other thoughts on back to the office stuff? Final tips, advice, thoughts, complaints?
Very curious how other people are feeling, and it's always okay to say, could you please, I don't feel comfortable, could you please keep some distance? There's nothing wrong with saying that. Be vocal, practice.
Yeah, or get the fuck away from me. Well, maybe not that, but that's what I imagine myself saying.
I think that's good because if you come in hot like that, people are going to be a little bit scared, which is nice because then they'll leave you alone. So establish yourself as the unhinged person in the office so that people just listen to you.
Stop bathing so people want to keep a good distance anyway.
Stop bathing. That's the new thing.
These
okay, so
hacks. I'm going to start a TikTok of life hacks. What's going on? People are tired of work.
We're tired, everyone. This article hit me hard. So I'm talking about a topic that I'm thinking about because there's an article by Byung-Chul Han, who is a German philosopher originally of South Korean origin. And he wrote an article called The Tiredness Virus that The Nation published on their internet site on April 13th. And I will say this because we got to give credit where credit's due. I heard about this article because Wisecrack podcast host and associate Austin Smith referenced it on a video he made that came out yesterday, I think, on YouTube. So it came up on the screen, and I thought to myself, I should look this up. So I stopped watching his video because why would I do that? Kidding. It's great. And it's a philosopher I found really interesting. I think I might have mentioned his book, The Burnout Society, on here before, which I think is a great read for anyone who likes this podcast, likes philosophy, and is like, I'm not trying to read the type of real long books that Alec talks about, like Being in Time. Read The Burnout Society.
I only made it a quarter of the way through, but yeah.
I still give you credit for that. But so the article is about tiredness in general and kind of about how neoliberalism, which is just, for anyone who doesn't know, the economic framework that we're living under, whether you like it or not, has already made us real tired and exploited. But then COVID-19 has made it worse. So he has this theory in his book, The Burnout Society, that under neoliberalism, we've internalized the exploitation and alienation that our bosses used to do for us. So that now we kind of exploit ourselves via this compulsion for labor, for overwork, for achievement. And I'm sure all of us, and by all of us, I mean everyone who's listening and watching, have had a moment before where we've made ourselves work more than we even needed to because we've had this internal drive to do more, to achieve, to go above and beyond. So this guy, Byung-Chul Han, has already said, we're already doing that. That's already bad. And in this article, he talks about how COVID-19 has accelerated this by making us these more isolated individuals. And it's also removed some of the only aspects of society, namely culture, that fight against this dehumanization. So I'll talk about a few quotes from this article. Y'all should look it up. It was really good. And I said this when I tweeted the article out. It was a thing where as I was reading it, I kept saying oh my God, fuck, shit. Oh, he said that, because it was so viscerally affecting. But he says this about work in it. He says, work at the home office is more tiring than work at the office. We know Serby disagrees. However, this cannot be explained in terms of increased self-exploitation. What is tiring is the solitude involved, the endless sitting in one's pajamas in front of the screen. We are confronted with ourselves, compelled constantly to brood over and speculate about ourselves. So that kind of hit me in hearing him describe the way in which something that seemingly wouldn't make us tired, sitting at home in our pajamas, is. And there's more about that in there. I won't say too much because we've already been talking about working at home. But the thing that really hit me in this article was his discussion of the absence of ritual and the relation of that to tiredness. Now, you might be thinking, Michael, I'm not a Scientologist. I don't do rituals. Xenu isn't my god. But for Byung-Chul Han, a lot of things we do are rituals. So I'll read this long quote from the article here. He says, an absence of ritual is another reason for the tiredness induced by the home office. In the name of flexibility, we are losing the fixed temporal structures, schedules, and architectures that stabilize and invigorate life. The absence of rhythm, in particular, intensifies depression. Ritual creates community without communication, where today what prevails is communication without community. When I read that the first time, I said, damn, out loud. It goes on to say, even those rituals that we still had, such as football matches, concerts, going out to the restaurant, theater, or cinema, have been canceled. Without greeting rituals, we are thrown back upon ourselves. And that just hit me really hard. The idea that so much of what it means to be human comes from those types of rituals. And I'm sure we've all been this person before who we get invited to a party or to hang out with friends or a dinner or a concert or a play, and we think I don't want to. But then if you force yourself to go, you actually feel better because of it and maybe get energized. That's a lot of what he's getting out here. And the way that when we don't have that, we end up being tired and drained. Right after that, he says, social distancing dismantles social life. One more quote I'll read from this, lest you think I'm just going to read an entire article to you and you're tuning out. So the thing he then gets at, kind of at the end of the article, is one of the things we've really lost then in this tiredness epidemic we have mixing our economic society and COVID-19 is the loss of culture. And since our podcast is called Culture Binge, if we lose culture, guys, we lose our market. But he says this, culture was the first thing to be abandoned during lockdown. What is culture? It engenders community. Without it, we come to resemble animals that want merely to survive. It is not the economy, but most of all culture, namely communal life, that needs to recover from this crisis as soon as possible. And, thinking of that too, we've already been talking about this. All of the conversation is about bring the economy back, open the economy, save the economy. Why doesn't anyone want to work at Arby's anymore? Blah, blah, blah. Like, that's the important thing. But that benefits like 1,000 dudes that sit on boards somewhere for corporations. That doesn't actively benefit most of us. What he's getting at in the article is what most of us need to make our lives good or better again is culture and community. And that should be something that's prioritized. And I have seen some places like a bit of this is happening where I live, where there's a lot of pressure on like getting the summer symphony concert series back out there, finding ways to get culture and arts events happening again. And after reading this article, which I recommend everyone read, it really did hammer home for me, at least for me, what I think is the absolute importance of figuring out how to get culture back in our lives, and in particular, how to get a community that comes through culture. But yeah, and I guess this relates to what we're already talking about, but what do y'all think about this? The tiredness, the absence of ritual, the loss of culture, anything else?
So I have been working from home for over 10 years, and I have a dedicated office, and I do have rituals every day. Like, I will wake up, I will not work in my like pajamas. I will get ready. I even have a work uniform that I have like 10 black shirts and like 10 black pants. Nice. And I have like dedicated sweaters that I will only wear at work. And when work's done, I change out of my clothes. So I do feel like that helps me a lot. And then in terms of like feeling tired and like expecting more from myself because I'm working from home, I have always worked at startups. So it's sort of ingrained in my personality to keep working a lot around the clock. So now I don't know if it's like my job or if it's my personality. I think it's sort of like become who I am now, to just like overwork myself. But in terms of like what you said about culture, I do agree that was the hardest part for me when lockdown happened and over the course of the pandemic, not being able to go to the opera or to the symphony or art museums. That was really, really hard. And I would stream things like recordings of orchestras and things like that, but it wasn't the same. And it made me realize how much of my life revolves around cultural activities and not so much like hiking and playing tennis and like sporting events. Because I feel like had I done those things, it would have been easier for me to adjust in that way. But it felt like when all the cultural activities closed up, like I felt stagnant, like I had nothing to do. Like I was just at home.
John Mosley kind of posed an interesting question, which I think is important to differentiate. Basically asking, like, what do you mean we've lost culture? Like, we've got all these streaming services, which Wisecrack's channel feeds off of. And I'm curious what you all think, but in my mind, it's a little bit of a distinction. Sure, yeah, like TV shows, et cetera, are culture, but I think this article is talking about kind of culture plus community, right? And like old school kind of French philosophers would be like, radio, TV, and now streaming is like an atomizing kind of culture where you sit at home and watch it by yourself versus like,
Yeah, I think the French philosopher answer would be something like the difference between entertainment and culture. That culture is something that engenders community, invites participation, speculation, all that sort of stuff. And then often entertainment, which I love, by the way, can have a pacifying effect. And it's something that we can consume while being atomized. So I think that like the connection he makes between culture and community in the piece is that like experiencing culture around other people adds like that secret sauce that no amount of like streaming an event by yourself can give you, because you're still doing it as an isolated person. You're not able to, I don't know, like I'm sure we've all had this experience. You're at like a concert or a play or a comedy show or whatever, and like you laugh along other people. And even if they're strangers, like it feels good to be participating in laughter together, or it feels good to be at a concert and that one song comes on and everyone's like, oh shit. Or you're at the opera with Serbi. I've never been to an opera. I don't know what people do, but I imagine they swoon at certain points.
Yeah, people say oh shit at operas just all the time.
That's why I'd get kicked out. Because even if I really liked it, I would be like, oh shit. And they'd be like, stop it. But I think but that's a really good question. And I do think that maybe that's where like the line would be drawn there. That culture engenders community in a way that things that are purely entertainment might not.
Yeah, I do think that line is, not to go down a rabbit hole, I don't think that line is as neat as we'd like to think it is. Like, for
Definitely
instance, going pre-pandemic to a bar to watch Game of Thrones with a bunch of people is different than sitting at home in the dark on Netflix binging something, you know?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, for example, when Black Widow comes out in a couple months, there's going to be an option to watch it on Disney+. If the theater near me is open then, and obviously if this vaccine I have isn't poison and it works, I will definitely try to see it in the theater. And I do think the experience of being in a theater with other people who laugh at the same time, who get nervous at the same time, who react, is going to be a markedly different experience than if I'm on the couch watching it on my TV. And even if it's like walking out of the theater and someone looks over and they're like, that's pretty good, or they're like, that sucks, and I'm like, yeah. Like, that's, I think moments like that are important, and moments like that are what we haven't had. There was an article in The Atlantic a few months ago about how, like, the thing we've missed most in the pandemic are, like, third-tier friendships and acquaintances. The person you might see at the coffee shop and you don't even know their name, but you say hi every now and then, or stuff like that. That's what we're missing, and I think that's, in essence, a part of that cultural community.
That shared experience is quite delightful, especially when it comes to films or things. Like, I still remember how much I enjoy when I'm at the symphony and everybody's clapping and everybody's just looking around at each other like, oh my gosh, how amazing was that? Or at the ballet, everyone's like, oh my gosh, that was incredible. And films too. I loved, so I come from a huge Star Wars family. We're obsessed.
Hell yeah.
And we would see Star Wars like opening weekend, the day it came out, and we wanted to do it because we wanted to be with other fans that were just as passionate about Star Wars as we are. And there's something really incredible about like everybody cheering at the same moment or everyone crying at the same moment. And I have missed that as well.
Yeah, when you say that, yeah, because I remember like the Endgame premiere at the theater that I live near that I'm not going to say the name of so people can't find me. But there was like a line outside and someone brought like digital screens and a portable sound system and were playing Infinity War for people in line before Endgame. And then someone else ordered a bunch of pizzas to the line and just walked around being like, you guys want some slices? And it was chill. It was like, hey, we're a bunch of people who are adults who are really excited to watch this comic book movie. And we're going to be nice to each other and hang out because we know we all share this thing in common. And I've never talked to any of those people again, but that day in line, one dude gave me a slice. Someone else let me like lean in a little bit and watch the movie on their iPad. It was great. And I think, I hope things like that come back. That's what I worry about a little bit. And like all the shifts in culture is that we just won't have those things anymore. And then the question is, what do we lose as humans, as social animals when we lose those things?
I think maybe it'll come back with time. Like, maybe not anytime soon, but it will happen, hopefully, again. But I do know now, like, if somebody tried to hand me a slice of pizza while I was in line, I'd be like, oh, no. Like, no thanks.
Listen, I just want to go to concerts, take substances, and mouth breathe with strangers. It's a thing you do when you're in a relationship where you want to be intimate with a stranger at a concert. You open your mouths, put them really close, and just breathe in and out with each other. Anyone's allowed to do that, and I just recommend it very highly. I'm kidding. I would never do that. It's disgusting, and my partner would kill me.
Cool.
Okay, so
I think, is it time to get into the mailbag?
Oh, it's time. It's time. Shouts to the mail service. Also, someone is sawing metal outside of my window right now. I might jump up after we intro the mailbag and close another window. So I'll intro the mailbag, then I'm going to jump up for a second. So, something we love more than working from home in our pajamas, that we love more than mouth breathing with strangers, that we love more than hanging out with Tom Hanks' son Chet, is hearing from you. And whether that's you sending us really cool art, or asking us fun questions or for advice, or occasionally writing in to say things like, hey, I used to be really mean to you all, but I like you now, which I think someone did say once. We love it. So there's 2 ways you can get in touch with us. 1, you can write us. culturebinge@wisecrack.co is the email address. Once again, that's culturebinge@wisecrack.co. But if you're like, screw that, I want you to hear my voice, that's great. Call us at 213-534-8807. Once again, that is 213-534-8807. And before we get into some emails and voicemails now, just a constant reminder, we read and listen to everything. If yours doesn't make the show, it's not because we don't care or we don't love you. We always talk too much, everyone, so then it leaves us little time for this sort of thing. But we read all the emails, we listen to all the voicemails, we love them. So, Alec, let us know what we have today.
We've got 2 voicemails. I was going to ask Burns to mute himself, but we've got 2 voicemails. Joey, can we play the first one?
Hey, Culture Binge crew. This is Ross from DC. I am just calling to respond to Serby's wonderful take on Beverly Cleary and the centrality that books, especially fiction, play in our lives. I've said before that I am an English teacher in Washington, D.C., and I wanted to express gratitude for verbalizing the importance that books have in centering us in both our own human experience and the experiences of others, and how far from the withdrawn, antisocial person who has their head in the clouds and their nose in a book at all points, that there is an aspect of reading that makes us more human and brings us closer together. And acknowledging the people who have sort of started us on that journey, whether it be with Ramona Quimby or someone else, is paying homage to a beautiful lineage that we all contribute to. We make such a big deal out of what it means to be an author and to create in the world of literature that I think sometimes we forget how important it is to be an empathetic and an expert and a heartfelt reader. And so, Serby, and for the rest of you all in Culture Binge, thanks for just verbalizing and embodying that. And it was really moving to hear your tribute.
I love when Ross from DC writes in or calls in. He's the best.
Damn, Ross from DC. That was a great voicemail.
Ross from DC, I think one time you wrote in and you said that you were expecting a baby. Did you have a baby yet?
What if his voice just popped in and he was like, yes, I did. Ross, tell us about your spawn.
Ross, I can't remember if you're a teacher, but I feel like you have a connection to children's literature. And I remember you wrote in an email talking about some books that were meaningful to you. And I believe that is one of the reasons why I thought so much about Beverly Cleary. It's because of your email where you said how much literature has meant to you. And so then when Beverly Cleary died, I was like, oh, wow, like that really made an impact on, or not her death made an impact, but her work made an impact on me. So thanks for inspiring that discussion.
Just excellent voicemail, 10 out of 10.
We got another great voicemail from Cole, if we could play that.
Hello, this message is for Culture Binge. This is Cole here. How's it going, Alec, Michael, and Serby? Love you guys. As always, gotta get my sappy stuff out first. You guys have really helped make this lockdown time feel like it wasn't terrible, because I had something really great to look forward to all the time. Makes me feel like I have friends. Really love you guys. Anyway, guys, talked about a couple of things that I've really vibed with. Good Girls is my show. Amazing. Definitely recommend anybody watch it. Very good show. Take a really simple premise that you would think could only last a very short time and make it last a very long time and be very funny. I am definitely part of the Serbia assassination squad, so tell me where to be, tell me where to go. I'm there.
I don't remember this
show,
joke,
about
by
to
the
be
way.
with Area 51 and then Aliens. Lastly, Lil Nas X and Satan, kind of the big thing. I think the Lil Nas X, what he's doing, especially as a young African-American queer man, being a young queer black man myself, and knowing the challenge of that dichotomy, whether that be from your own culture, on either side of the fence dealing with homophobia, racism, not really knowing like what to do with both of those, and for Lil Nas X to kind of just be himself unabashedly, freely, and even say, you know, you guys are going to cast me to hell anyway. You guys are going to cast me off as a demon and as a devil sympathizer because of who I am anyway. Let me lean hard into that, make it fabulous, and hey, I'm going to take over the devil's job while I'm down there and doing a good job being a bad bitch. So, yeah, so I really rock with him and his message. I wish I had had someone like that. Kind of like Frank Ocean was a little bit more subtle, but Frank Ocean kind of had his queerness be a theme of the artistry he made as a black man that was really inspiring growing up. So yeah, definitely been binging on culture, binging you guys. Thanks so much. Sorry for the long voicemail. Have a great one. Happy post-Easter if that's your jam. And yeah, happy spring. Bye-bye.
Well, that voicemail has made me a member of the Cole Assassination Squad. If you ever need shooters,
Wait, hold
let
on.
me know.
What's the assassin? Sorry, can you remind me of this joke? What's the Serbian Assassination Squad?
I think it came up in talking about simps and stans and fans, and the Serbian Assassination Squad are people who are ready to kill for Serbia, basically.
Oh, they're not going to kill Serbia. They're going to kill for
No,
Serbia.
why would you be in an assassination squad to kill
he's
Serbia?
Saying it's like a good thing, but it sounds like a bad thing.
No, it's a good thing. It's basically the idea is like there's a squad of people who, of course, they like Culture Binge, but they love Serbia, and they're like, listen, we want to protect her at all costs. If there's issues, if the neighbor across the street is acting froggy, is planting trees, we show up an American sniper them, but not really, because we're not really making any threats, satire law, etc., etc. But it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for just like riding for someone and wanting to protect them.
Yeah.
I love my assassination squad. I feel like we should have some merch for them. So Cole, that was a fantastic voicemail. Thank you so much for sharing all of your thoughts. I have been thinking about that. So I looked up Lil Nas X after the podcast, which would have been good to do before.
You didn't hear him at the opera before?
So it's really quite incredible. And he's such a great role model for young Black queer men, or anybody really, but specifically for them, because I know that in the Black culture, from my understanding, that it's important for men to be seen a specific way. And when you're not like that, you can run into a lot of challenges and a lot of unkindness. So it's great to have a wonderful role model like him to show that you're okay, everything's great, you're accepted. So I'm really, really glad that you liked that discussion and that you shared your thoughts with us, Cole. Your voice sounds familiar as well, so if you called him before.
Yeah. I will add to the Lil Nas X thing. I love the sort of like self-aware, cynical, like, fuck it, I'm going to get that money, in terms of people were giving him shit for, I think, trying to milk his latest song. But he's like, what do you think I was doing remixing, Old Town Road for 10 months? I'm not saying I'm going to like uncritically say it's the greatest thing in the world, but I do find it entertaining, refreshing, etc.
Yeah.
Also,
and this all just
go
ahead. No, I was saying this all just reinforces how much I love Gen Z culture, because there's so many young artists, like whether it's Lil Nas X and even in a different, like Phoebe Bridgers, who are just like popular artists who are like queer and weird and transgressive and fun, and like young people can look at those folks and be like, cool, those are all options and normal fun things I can do. Whereas I think for some of us, like millennials, and especially older millennials, every like popular musician and artist was just like, boom, heteronormative, standard culture, blah, 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 except for like Katy Perry was like, I kissed a girl once, but then she was like, no, I'm just kidding. So.
Oh, she didn't?
I don't know. I like Katy Perry, so I'm not even trying to be mean to her. I think that she made that song, but I think she, for the most part, has lived a pretty heteronormative lifestyle. She has a cool baby with Orlando Bloom, though, so that's sick.
I do want to say, T. Scarable says, we don't stand Serbia. That's too far. She's just our queen, and we live to serve her.
Amazing.
I do want to get into, in the time we have left, some emails. If you want to email us, culturebinge at wisecrack.co. It's on the screen. Here's one from Pedro. I misreferred to this. Sorry. My name is Captain Kitty Butterfingers. Off chance that you actually read this podcast, I would rather be referred to as such. I'm sorry, I was just reading this on the fly. Anyway, well, after my small BoJack let me start that again. After my small BoJack Horseman-like tangent, I want to say that I think your show is amazing. I just love it and learn so much. You have such a nice dynamic together. I read about last week's episode. Serbi was talking about how she thought that books were the cheapest form of therapy. I not only agree, but I wanted to share with you all that is exactly what I told my students when I used to teach literature, and they asked me, what is the point of learning and analyzing this? To this, I replied something like, literature is the cheapest and most accessible form of therapy. If you can understand others, you are on the right path to understanding yourself. If you just thought you would appreciate knowing there are like-minded friends down south of the border. Oh, and one more thing, hoping this email is not too long, I will now describe what all of you would be if you were Mexican sweetbread. Loving it. Serbi, you are Garibaldi, kind of upside down pancake with white round sprinkles, and dough is mixed with the chabacano, that's Armenian prune. You are sweet, seemingly simple, but so complex when you speak up or when you eat it. Serbi, what do you think of that assessment?
I love it. I love that there are sprinkles involved. It makes me happy. And I like that someone thinks I'm complex.
Alec, you are a churro. I'm confident you know what that is, but did not know that in Mexico, when we say something is un churro, it means that is crazy and out there because it also means joint. I did not know it means joint. I took too many semesters of Spanish to not learn that. What the fuck, Spanish teachers? My assessment... Am I crazy now? I don't think of myself that way. I'm not opposed to being described that way, but I might describe
crazy
myself.
People never think they're crazy. Mm-hmm. The point of being crazy isn't that you're like, I'm crazy. Crazy people think they are normal, which is why they appear crazy to the rest of us.
So I consider myself a sort of like low energy, just, I don't know. Do you guys agree with that assessment of me as a churro?
Yes. For several reasons. So one is that churros are so comforting.
But that wasn't his point.
You never have a bad time with a churro. Never.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've never had a bad time with churro. Michael, you are a concha, a round bread covered in chocolate or vanilla crust. Everyone likes you, soft, well-rounded. Plus you go surprisingly well with milk. Also, again, this is just out of being bad at Spanish, despite taking a lot of it. Doesn't that mean vagina? So is he trying to do something here?
I think both are fine. I think both are appropriate here.
Yeah. I'm not going to do the thing where I'm like, I thought this was vagina in Spanish, because I don't want all of our wonderful listeners that live in the Spanish-speaking world to be like, wow, these guys are idiots.
Yeah, I mean, I am. But anyway.
But I'm gonna go to, I do live near a good amount of Mexican bakeries, so I'm going to go in and demand one of those and say, I've been told this is what I'm like. And then I will see what they think there.
I'm a big fan of them. I never knew that they were called conchas, but the restaurants near me serve them, and they're amazing, and I get them when I'm drunk sometimes.
Wow. Talking about crazy summer, just Alec with brews and conchas. Well, that's an awesome email, and thank you so much for writing to. And everyone knows this. I love nothing more than when people in reviews or emails tell us what type of X we would be.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the best.
The last email we have is from Jeremy. Hey, Culture Binge, Jeremy from Canada here. Love you guys so much, but maybe not nearly as much as I love books. Sorry, but your boy's got to have his priorities. Love that you guys talked about life-changing book this week, and I thought I'd share some of my own. Serbi, I love your drawing of life lessons from your favorite fiction. I do the same thing, although my observations are typically less concrete. And here's some of the books they're mentioning. Lord of the Rings, The Inheritance Cycle, read Aragon, Chronicles of Narnia. From those, deep value for courage, heroism, and healthy idealism. Harry Potter, and to a lesser extent, Inheritance Cycle taught me that unrequited love can still lead us to do beautiful things despite the pain it may cause. Lord of the Rings and Inheritance Cycle also helped me to learn in some of my formative years that masculinity, compassion, empathy, and vulnerability aren't mutually exclusive. If I could be as loyal as Samwise Gamgee, as steady as principled Hermione, as resilient as Aragon, a brother such as Eomer or Faramir, as fearless as these are Lord of the Rings names that I can't pronounce, I'm sorry. As hopeful as Arwen, as committed to love as Snape, as dutiful as Aragon. All right, my bias in favor of Tolkien shows, sue me, I would gain much as a person. Also a note for me and Michael, not as into Tom Sawyer or Huck Finn as either of you, but I did listen to an audiobook of Tom Sawyer on repeat on and off for years. Not entirely sure why, except the glorious shenanigans involved. I do love me some good shenanigans. I don't think I've read Tom Sawyer. Isn't it? It's not bad, but it's like Huck Finn is like the good cultural commentary one, whereas Tom Sawyer is like more like.
Tom Sawyer's a good hang. It's a good hang, but it's not in some way. And maybe it is because Mark Twain is smart as shit, but I don't think it's as much of like a coded commentary on a moment in American culture in the way Huck Finn captures something about an America we've never experienced.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks for our email, Jeremy.
Yeah,
great email.
Thanks for sharing that. I really like the line where you wrote, "Unrequited love can still lead you to do beautiful things." That was nice.
Shit. Now that you said it again, that's like really, that's hauntingly beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And to be clear, Jeremy, that wasn't me being sarcastic. I've been accused before. Sometimes I say something that's earnest, but I think it's because I'm uncomfortable being earnest. I modify my voice to sound like I'm just like doing a bit, but I truly think that was a beautiful turn of phrase.
Yeah.
That was a really nice bit of vulnerability you showed to our audience. Thank you.
I do want to say, according to Nano in the comments, concha is synonymous with vagina in some countries.
I'm fine with that. See, because I don't fall into these like toxic masculine stereotypes. I'm proud to be associated with the vagina. It's giver of life. It's so many things, and I would say we should all be proud to be associated with that.
Vaginas are powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm you know, after this I'm calling my mom and I'm saying, hey, I've been called a vagina by a listener, and I want to say that like I respect vaginas and I thank you for what yours did in giving me life.
Big
See, I'm
fan
not
of your
ashamed. Don't call my mom's vagina a vag. Jesus
How dare
Christ,
you.
Serby. She is a 65-year-old woman in Florida who drives a golf cart.
Does she live in the villages? Sorry, no, we shouldn't.
My mom does not live in the villages. And let's not dox my mom today, okay? Jesus Christ, this took a turn. I'm kidding. So those are all the voicemails, emails, right?
That is it. If you want to reach out to us, culturebinge@wisecrack.co. If you're one of our patrons, you can reach out to us on the Discord. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Be a patron if you're not. We don't normally plug that, but I would just say if you're not a patron, look into it. Just go to patreon.com/wisecrack. Consider it. And if you like this type of thing and you think I would like a similar stream, but that had a more chaotic and unhinged energy, then we do streams that are just for the patrons that I truly think many of you would like. And the Discord's fun too, because you can talk to us about stuff there. But let's say you're like, screw it, I don't have $2 to $5 for the Patreon. I just want to but I don't want to email, I don't want to call. I just want to slide into those DMs. Alec and Serby, how can they slide into those DMs?
Tweet me at SurryPatel22.
I'm at Wisecrack Alec. I tweeted that nice poster people sent us and say a lot of sarcastic things.
Oh, there's some good responses to that. Yeah, I'm at Michael O'Burns. We love to hear from you, and like we just want to be in touch with you all the time, constantly, just never sleeping, talking to you nonstop. But that's this episode of Culture Binge. We will be back in a couple of weeks. If you are watching us on the live stream, we should be back on it Wednesday at that point. So mark your calendars, et cetera, et cetera. Take off work, make a day of it. But I'm Michael. This is Alec and Serby. We together as one are Culture Binge. And we'll see you next time.